Give me a break. Give me a break.
Give me a break.
What's up, everybody? We're live. And to show you how much we rep Hold It Down, Mark is in the process of purchasing his ticket for the Frisco match in Frisco. Right now, he is going through the process. So, welcome to Generation Orange. We are a Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash, Houston soccer podcast. We do cover occasionally world soccer, MLS, etc., depending on what's going on. There's a lot of people in the chat today. Holy crap, guys. Thanks for joining. We definitely appreciate it. I love when chat is hopping. That's great. You guys were hopping before I even got in, which was early. But, man, we do not have a packed show, but we do. We're going to go about an hour and a half to about 9 o'clock tonight. But we are going to talk Dynamo, of course. We're going to review that Dynamo-Portland match. Not that anybody wants to, but we really should. We're going to talk previewing that LAFC match coming up on Saturday. And we're going to, of course, do our standard regular bold predictions. And then, of course, as always, we will be talking women's soccer, which includes our wonderful, awesome, amazing ladies Houston Dash soccer team from the NWSL. And I would be remiss if we did not discuss the firestorm of fury that Brian McTaggart, an MLB contributor, MLB.com contributor, elected to stir with some comments that he made on Twitter earlier this week, like yesterday or the day before, which have completely snowballed tremendously. It was pretty interesting. Done. That's Mark is ready to go. I'll tell you right now, I am ready to go. I purchased mine before Mark even started purchasing his. So, not saying that makes me better, just saying that I was already on the ball trying to get it done. But yeah, Generation Orange will be repping at the Frisco match in Frisco. Hold it down. We travel hard. I'm just saying right now. Yeah, that I don't know if y'all have listened to I can't remember their name, but Laura Gomez and Theo have a podcast. I'm sure Jake can link it. They've got a podcast. We tweeted it out earlier, retweeted them earlier. It starts around the third minute, the fourth minute, somewhere right in there during that podcast, and they start talking about it. And her complete just dismantling, Laura's complete dismantling of Brian was was amazing. Hell yeah, we travel hard. You know what I'm talking about. Look, we pack we pack what needs to be packed. I'm just saying. But yeah, that's actually all I have planned to talk about tonight. All we have planned to talk about. But I am certain, based on my knowledge of my good friend Mark over there, that he's got things he wants to talk about that I haven't even touched on yet. But before we get rolling into that, Mark, you are wearing a special piece of merchandise today. And I just want to give it a shout out because I was asking you about it and you told me, and I was like, and he was like, no, I'm gonna go change. I'm like, no, don't change, dude. Keep it on. What are you wearing over there, Mark? Tell people what you got on.
For sure. Appreciate it, Sean. For those who don't know, I do another podcast, soccer podcast. It's a more global soccer podcast, for, soccer all around the world. We do it both in Spanish and English. It's called La Banca Podcast, and we usually do it on Tuesdays at 7:30, and then right after in Spanish, and then right after we do it in English as soon as we finish the Spanish show. Obviously, guys, for all of those, obviously we're all Dynamo fans here, but a lot of us here rep a lot of different clubs around the world. Myself, I'm a Barcelona and Arsenal fan. I know Sean's a Tottenham fan. I know a lot of you guys follow Arsenal and a lot of clubs around the world. We speak on that. Obviously the main topics right now are Champions League semifinals, the leagues coming up to an end with less than a handful of matches left in each league. So, there's a lot of topics to talk about. Please give us a look-see when you can. Tuesdays, it's on YouTube, www.youtube.com/C/C La Banca Podcast. I'll send out a link on the Generation Orange Twitter page here in a bit. But yeah, man, please, give us a shout, subscribe, thumbs up, the usual if you can, check us out, let us know, leave a comment, and we're always there to talk any kind of soccer, whether it be a Premier League, La Liga, Champions League, or some Chilean soccer if that floats your boat and tickles your pickle. So, it's all good, man. We got a little bit of merch out. We'll be expanding in that pretty soon here. Hopefully, we're trying to get to a certain number of subscribers and things of that nature before we do full throttle merch and all that stuff. So this is one of the hoodies that we got. We got some mouth guards and things of that nature as well. See the back, things of that nature. But yeah, man. Like I said, thanks, Sean, for giving me the opportunity to shout this out. La Banca Podcast. Shout out to my co-hosts over there as well, Fidel, Luis, and Aurelio as well. But yeah, guys, check us out Tuesday, 7:30.
And speaking of podcasts and representing and holding it down and supporting, guys, check out Houston Dynamo Pod. I'm sure they can send the link or tweet the link at us for their podcast. Excellent work, excellent stuff. Definitely worth following. You've also got, oh God, there's so many that I'm losing track now. And it's the greatest thing, right? Because now I can get my Dynamo fix or my soccer fix pretty much all week long. There's enough shows to have one show per day, which it is honestly watching this blossom, this being the fans picking up where media have come up short is amazing to see. And Laura earlier today, Laura Gomez made a point about the striker or about Striker Texas, and how their media, they are considered media, but they also cover the teams. And I said I kind of corrected myself, and I wanted to bring this up because I did correct myself and it was important. But what I really should have said is that up until recently, and I would even say up until the striker came along, up until Corey came back from Tennessee and started covering kind of solo, up until that point, media in general didn't cover the Dynamo or Dash. And if they did, it was very minimal, very quick hits. We didn't have any in-depth coverage. We didn't have any, we didn't get any tactical analysis on a weekly basis. We didn't get any. Man, we didn't even get injury reports until the lineups came out. And some of that falls on coaches and staff wanting to keep some things under wrap. But at the same time, I think that stuff is consumable in a positive way. And so, with that being said, there are plenty of podcasts out there to follow. I mentioned the Houston Dynamo Pod. There's also Andres out there doing his stuff with Dynamic Foxtrot on Twitter at Dynamic Foxtrot. I'm losing track because there's so many, and that really, to me, that excites me in a very positive way. Hey, Harry. So with that being said, though, how about we dive into it? We were going to start with Dynamo, and we are going to start with Dynamo. So Dynamo went and played in Portland on Saturday. They came away with a 2-1 defeat, sadly. But I came out of that match feeling pretty positive because the attack did not look overwhelmed throughout the majority of that match. We had our chances that were created, and the chances that were created were pretty good chances. Portland had their opportunities, clearly. They did a really good job of applying pressure to us early on. But I take away a lot of positive. The one negative that I do take away is it felt again like Tab was playing to come away with a draw more so than a win. It didn't feel like we were as high pressing or as hard charging against their attackers, especially in the middle of the pitch. as we were against in the opener against San Jose. Now, with that said, some of that could be the result of San Jose, again, having not played a full preseason before playing us in the first match of the season. Perhaps their legs were a little more tired. They weren't quite up to full match speed. But at the same time, I feel like it just looked and appeared to me, and Mark, you watched the match. I'm sure you can chime in on this, but it looked like we weren't going in to try to force Portland to make the mistakes. We were going to wait for them to make mistakes and then try to pounce on them.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit more of a little bit on the bad side here. I'm gonna go 50-50 as far as what I saw on the pitch that game. Obviously, I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt that I know it's the second game of the season. They're still trying to get their legs underneath them and still trying to get into match fitness, and all that stuff. But the first half was really good, really great first half. Really good first half. I like the way they attacked, the way they pounced on the ball, the way they went after the 50-50 balls and things of that nature. Now the second half for me is a little bit of a different story. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it has to do a little bit with the fitness situation. Them being the second game of the year barely, they're still not fully fit. Whatever. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that the consistency isn't there where it needs to be still. And like I said, I'm gonna hold back from being hey, negative, whatever. Because I'm not that guy. I want the team to do good. I know that the Dynamo have dug themselves a deep hole prior to Tad being here, and I know we're trying to climb out that hole. And I know it's not going to be a quick process to get out that hole, right? So, but I do see improvement, like you said, Sean, and I do see a lot of things going on that I do see better from the players. One thing that I don't like, the fact that you mentioned that seeing that Tab was playing for the tie. Obviously when you're 2-1 down and obviously in a couple of minutes of down or left in the game, yeah, you play for the tie. But I always go, especially with the Dynamo's record history on the road, man, you just go out there and just give it your all and try to get that win, right? But like I said, if they would have got the tie, hey, it would have been a plus. But then again, you also got to think Portland wasn't playing with a couple players of a couple starting caliber players. They were holding them out for CCL, which I think they played tonight at 9:30 against Club America.
They do.
So obviously they had one eye ahead to today instead of that game. So it would have been a perfect opportunity for the Dynamo to take advantage. Obviously you had other circumstances as far as unfortunately Diego Valeri's father passed away. One of those things. Sometimes you don't know how that really impacts a player, or if they're playing out there heavy-hearted, or if they're going to play inspired. But with that being said, the 2-1 scoreline was a pretty good scoreline, I guess, to us, because honestly, I think it could have finished 4-1, 5-1 Timbers. If the Timbers were in midseason form at the current stage of the year that we're in. So
I certainly agree with your assessment. I mentioned there were a lot of positives, and I'm willing to forgive, I guess you could say, some of the negatives, because this was the first away match of the season. There are players that are still trying to get match fit. You're missing numbers of center backs, not even just one, but numbers of center backs. And so you're not playing your favored starting 11, the one that you hope to have going into the season. And I think further beyond that, the team didn't come out with that intensity that I thought that they would come out after that first week. Like, hey, we proved the system can work, and this is an opportunity to prove that it can work, and it can work against one of the best teams in MLS and in a place that is known as a very hostile, tough environment to play in. I don't know what the exact reasons for that is, but it definitely seems to be a trend. Portland definitely outshot us on the night. That's not unsurprising, given home teams typically do that. Portland on the first goal, it was unfortunate. That Lundqvist played the player in the corner the way that he did. The player got off the great pass, and then it just kind of trickled past Tim Parker, who wasn't able to clear it. And then it just fell to Spria, who hit it home for the goal. And if you recall, what was my key to the match? One of my two keys for the match for Portland against Portland were you need to mark Spria and you need to not let him free. And then the second key was Valeri. You need to do the same thing with Valeri, and you need to be physical with Spria and don't give him space. So when it happened, I just literally I was upset because I knew I was right. It was the worst. But besides that, I want to talk about a couple of players in particular that I thought actually played pretty well. I thought that on the night that Rudy played pretty well. Not great necessarily, but pretty well. No worries, Mark. If you gotta bounce for a short bit, gotta bounce. It's no worries. We just go solo for a little while. Everybody gets the Generation Orange After Dark Sean Special Edition. But
it's for good purposes. So don't worry, I'm not leaving you out because I gotta go. But it's for good purposes.
He's got to go record that other podcast. No, I'm just kidding. That's on Tuesdays, right?
That's
Tuesdays. And they're live anyways. So if he's recording, now we got another problem. But besides that, Rudy, like I said, I thought Rudy played well. I thought that certain players that I thought would have better matches didn't. Memo just seemed kind of, I don't know, almost hidden to me in this match. I thought that Pasher played really well. There's another player who I think deserves a shout out. Boney definitely showed his lack of natural center backness in this match. He was caught trying to play a defend runners toward that were coming at him into the box as if he was a defensive midfielder, and it definitely showed that created opportunities for Portland across the all around the box. And credit to Marich that it was only 2-1, because Portland could have certainly made this more of a destruction of the team than they did. Their on goal total was their on goal total was actually pretty good, but their number of shots was incredibly stupid. And that's a good point too. The team did not land until late Friday night, so that's a heck of a flight. Late Friday night means that you probably don't get a ton of sleep going into Saturday morning, although they probably slept in as late as they want since it was such a late Saturday match.
Are they? Do you know they're still having those restrictions as far as, because people are flying more often now. So I know last season was because they only wanted the teams to be there for a certain amount of time and then get them out as quickly as possible. Is that still the protocol right now? Especially since they're flying around to different cities now, further away. Because if it isn't, then that's something where I think they need to logistically figure out something better for the players. I know maybe they want to get that extra day of training at home, but if it's going to be one of those things where, especially when you're going to the West Coast, maybe that you want to take advantage and maybe get there a day before. An extra training or extra drill day, whatever. I don't really see the point in it, especially if you're going to lose rest. As far as the players go, or if they're going to be lagging, or maybe have a little bit of, I don't want to say jet lag. It's only a couple of hours behind, but things of that nature. So, I don't know if that's still the situation with MLS, but if it isn't, I think they need to figure out something logistically for the West Coast games, to better improve their stance when it comes to those road games. Because, obviously we know historically our road records suck, but they suck big time on the West Coast.
Absolutely. And turf certainly does not make that any better. Turf is absolutely the bane of our existence. But to answer your question, to my knowledge, from what I understand, it is still active. It is still the case that it is trying to get teams on the quick flights there and quick flights back, and not much time in the individual city that they're playing in. And I think to some extent it still makes some sense, but as the CDC continues to start to lax the restrictions, as more and more individuals across the country are getting vaccinated, I do think that it makes sense, like you're saying, to give teams the option to fly up a little early to, hey, if a team wants to run drills, a day before, then so be it. Just because you run drills doesn't mean you're going full hard at practice. It just means you're running drills. And there's plenty that you can do. Even just watching film and walking the field the day before can be huge benefit to just feel the difference in how that grass is going to feel or how that turf is going to feel as you're running around on it. I would hope that the Dynamo, while they were here in Houston practicing, that they were practicing on the turf field instead of the at Houston Sports Park as opposed to the grass pitch over there. But I don't know that to be a fact. Go ahead.
Just a quick update for those, I know a lot of people follow CCL. Monterrey just scored a goal 1-0 on top of the Columbus Crew in the 12th minute.
It's still early. Anything can happen. Yeah, I think my assessment of the Portland match is, hey, we had opportunities. We didn't, we weren't completely blown out of that match right away. We came back from down 1-0 to level it at 1-1. And then, honestly, that pass over the top for the 2-1, it was an incredible pass. It was incredible vision from whoever. I don't even remember who it was that played the pass, but it was a great take. And unfortunately, when Marich and the header back was by the forward was just beautiful. But it was unfortunate that Tim Parker and Valentin both turned away from the shot, because if they would have turned into the shot, one of them would have blocked it pretty easily, because just went between the two of them.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was all I was going to say. Go ahead.
And I want to actually, I want to be a little positive as well on this, this match as well. I want to give a shout out to Tyler Pasher, man. That kid is, 2 games in a row, first 2 games, he's killing it, and it's great to see, there's talent everywhere, regardless of what division you play in soccer, whether it be, the 4th level in England or 2nd level in France, or, 2nd level here in America, man, there's talent everywhere. And sometimes it takes some time to find it and locate it. And I think we got something here with Tyler Asher, and hopefully he continues his ascendance, and he continues to play on par or even above that. I think he adds a different dynamic. He's one of those players that grinds it out and plays really good soccer, to be honest. I really enjoyed seeing him on the pitch. And I'm just looking forward to him being more involved as far as, scoring goals, obviously. But obviously I think he assisted on one of the goals. I think if I'm not mistaken, on the own goal, right?
On the own goal, yeah.
They thought that was on next goal.
Yeah, he had the cross into the box, yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to that guy. He's doing a good job. I like the tweets around that during that time period. That USL player was dominating $1 million left back. Which is great to see. But like I said, hey, he Tab and the staff saw something in that guy. They picked him out. They paid the $50,000 transfer fee to bring him down to Houston, and he's showing he's worth that and even more. So let's hopefully. He's one of those players that can help get this turnaround and get this winning culture here in Houston back as sooner rather than later.
And it's it's amazing to me that you look at a player like a Tyler Pasher, and you look at the player that was brought in for that same position in Mateo Bahamic, and the amount and discrepancy in the amount that you paid for these two players, and who's your starter. And honestly, I don't foresee Mateo, turning into the player that Pasher is for at least another 2 to 3 seasons. That's not to say that Mateo's, ceiling could not, it isn't higher necessarily. I suspect it probably is, but you paid an awful lot for a player that you probably are going to have to wait 2 to 3 seasons to really see, what he can bring. Whereas with Tyler Pasher, you paid pennies on the dollar compared to what you pay for an international player. Pasher's got a few years on him. 5 or 6, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's 25 or 26. But but I'm not gonna get on here with that. With the Mateo slander. I know I deal.
I'm not slaying Mateo. Hold up, no, hold up.
I know you're not. I know there's certain people on here
Oh, gotcha.
I'm not gonna call out names, but
I think George. I think you're good. I think George already hopped off for the night. He was done listening when we started talking Tyler Pasher instead of Mateo. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where look, some players take a little bit of time to get acclimated to the league, man. And sometimes look, I don't know if Tab is hey, you got to do great in practice to show me that you deserve a spot kind of guy. Because let's be frank, a lot of players are not good in practice. A lot of the best players in sports don't practice at all. And it could be one of those type of deals. But obviously, he doesn't have the seniority or the weight to help him say that, hey, it doesn't matter how well you practice, your name's going to be one of the first names on the squad list, right? He hasn't got those merits yet. But look, man, I think once the kid gets the opportunity, he gets the flow of the game, he's gonna do great things for us. I'm gonna be an optimist with Mateo, and like I said, he's 21, he's a young cat, so I'm not expecting him to do anything crazy this season. It'd be nice if he does, but like I said, sometimes it's one of those things where you got to take the situation in case that, obviously this is Tab's second season, and, depending on what happens, if the Dynamo gets sold or not, he might not be here next season for whatever reason, because the new ownership might not want him here, and the thing about that is that, you have other situations where you have other players that are younger than Mateo are doing great things, and other teams in the league, but those guys are being given the opportunity because they have a more stable foundation. They have a more stable culture, a more of a winning culture. So, so I mean, it just depends on the opportunity and the situation that you're involved in, man. I think Mateo is brought up here for a reason, and I think he's going to be a great asset to us, whether it be this season or next. But like I said, I'm not here for that bashing. I see Georgie just hop back on, so I know he's gonna say a little something on the chat, but yeah, man, I think the kid's gonna be good. But talking about Pasher, Pasher, obviously he started out great. 2 great games for him, and let's hope he continues. Because obviously if he has if his level's up here, that just means that Mateo and whoever else, Lassiter, Fafa, whoever else is fighting for that starting spot, Darwin, has to be that much better to dethrone him. So, like I said, Tab is all about competition in these positions. And the higher the talent in that position, the better, because that means that you have 2-3 top quality players for that position. So when you need to rotate, you don't miss a step, you don't miss a beat.
Yeah. The only reason I brought it, because people were talking about the age difference and Mateo's still got time to mature, yada yada yada. You're absolutely right. He could turn out to be as good as he was hyped up to be, or even slightly below that, and he's still probably a good pickup. My point was, though, regardless of Pasher's age, 26 to 28, 29 is prime soccer years in general terms, especially for a winger. And so you picked up the player right at the cusp of his prime. He's clearly playing up to the level that you were hoping for. And he has beat out, you just named a bunch of players. He's beat out every one of them for that right wing position. He's beat out Fafa Pico for the right wing position, if you want to think about it that way. Yeah. Now Fafa's playing on the left, but that's not where Fafa prefers to necessarily play.
No, and it's one of those things where also as a player, you got to look within yourself. If I'm Tyler Pasha, I'm looking at this like, look, this might be my only opportunity to play top flight soccer. My age, I'm not as young as a lot of soccer teams would want me to be. But you know what? This team gave me the opportunity. They pay me to bring me here. I'm going to give it my all, because if this really is my last opportunity to go ahead and showcase my skills and really show what I can do, then I'm going to go all out. I'm gonna go through whoever I have to go through. I don't care if so-and-so came from Argentina, or so-and-so came from, or so-and-so plays for the Costa Rican national team, or so-and-so, has won titles and with Club America and Santos, and, played high level soccer in Liga MX. That doesn't matter to him. He sees it as, look, this is my opportunity, this is my time, and I'm going to take full advantage of it. And that's great. That's awesome. Like I said, if everybody had that mindset on the team, we would not be in a situation of, man, whether or not we got to look at, excuses of as to why we're not achieving what we need to achieve on the pitch, or we need to look for benefits of players missing out for the other squad to give us a chance, an opportunity to gain points in that match. That shouldn't be the reason if everybody had that same mindset that Tyler has. And, like I said, big ups to him, big props to him. 2 great games for him, and let's just hope he keeps it going.
I think it I'm going to keep on this for a minute because I think it's a good topic, but I think that Pasher being as up for the challenge and proving it as he has been already, as long as he keeps that same velocity, if you will, the same trajectory for, a good chunk of this season, then you have to be willing to trust Tab to find those players. And if you find more of those players, and they exist within USL and elsewhere, but specifically USL, then let Tab bring those type of players up. They're inexpensive for what you're bringing in. And I'll be honest, I would take a bench full of Tyler Bashers in a heartbeat over some of the players that are on our bench. And the cost of that would be no more than a veteran minimum contract, which frees up more money for your other veterans. So it's just interesting. I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see that they saw the opportunity and saw the potential. They landed a player coming out of the USL that a lot of people had a lot of respect for coming out of the USL, but also a player who's lived up to that hype, because that doesn't always happen coming out of USL. With that being said, that's a good 20 minutes on the previous match. Let's talk the match coming up on Saturday. Dynamo versus LAFC. Here in Houston at BBVA Stadium, a 2:30 p.m. kickoff, probably closer to 2:45. Let's be real. Maybe even closer to 3 o'clock by the time they actually kick off. Obviously, there are a lot of players on LAFC that you have to account for and you have to be aware of. Do you think that Vela is going to be available and playing this match?
Well, I've heard reports that both Vela and Rossi are not going to be available for the match. I
am so sad to hear that report, Mark. Just so brokenhearted.
Well, shoot. I mean, look at my fantasy team, Rossi being out of whatever. But
we're gonna talk fantasy in a bit. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's reports. I mean, who knows? Obviously, things can change. This is the Rossi can be feeling better, or Vela can be feeling better, and they can be a game time decision. But up to this point right now, it doesn't look like neither Vela or Rossi be starting. But LAFC is full of depth. They're one of the top teams for a reason. Bob Bradley has done such a great job with that squad since its inception and 2 seasons ago. And he's gonna make sure that whatever players go up there and play up front are gonna do what they need to do to win this game here in Houston. Now it's on the Dynamo's terms to counter that and be able to take advantage of the situation of whether or not you're missing 2 of the top 5 players in MLS, and take advantage of the opportunity and send a message, that nobody's going to come in here and bully us around. Because let's be honest, that San Jose game, even though we won, we kind of got a little bit of luck on that one, and you need a little bit of luck every once in a while, especially in a long season. But I kind of want the luck to be a little bit later on, and when we're getting tired legs, not the first game of the season, So, but I'm just hoping for a better showing at home. As far as defensively, I think the attack will always be there at home, especially at home games, especially with the players that we have now up front. But yeah, if Rossi and Vela are not playing, I fully expect the Dynamo to go out here and get this win, because if they tie or if they lose this game, man, it's disappointing, because when are we going to be able to get over that hump and go to the next level? Where you have, LAFC is one of the top teams, if not the top team in MLS, but they're losing. They don't have their 2 top players. I mean,
yeah, I was just going to say, we were saying the same exact things going into Portland. There were thoughts that Valeri may not play at all. Ebobisi was already ruled out for the match. Steve Clark was ruled out for the match, their goalkeeper. So you had a huge opportunity. Sebastian Blanco was out too. You had a huge opportunity to pounce and to put a little space between yourself and the top, some of the top dogs in MLS. You have the same opportunity here in this match. LAFC undefeated coming into Houston. If they are missing Vela and Rossi, that obviously is a huge help to the Dynamo. But make no mistake, this LAFC team, their depth is not anything to just expect that it's going to be an easy match by any stretch. This is going to be a tough match. They are still a very good team, even without those two players. Those two players just take them to the next level. I think the Dynamo absolutely, with the style that they play, with LAFC missing Vela and Rossi, I think if they play their game and they take it to LAFC instead of waiting for it to come to them, I think that the Dynamo walk away from this one with a win. That's me personally, just based on how I'm feeling. And we have plenty of talent. I don't know who is going to start at center back next to Parker this week. It's not going to be Boney, in my opinion. Boney again. He had a match where he was absolutely overwhelmed on a consistent basis by the midfielders coming into the box, not knowing how to really play them well. Clearly not being in his natural position as he was playing center back. And he just got caught out a few too many times, and he got caught in positions a few too many times where, that's not where a center back belongs, and that's not how a center back should be playing. And the way he defends is very different than a normal center back. So it's going to be interesting to see who Tab decides to slot in there, because Fuenmayor is match fit. He's ready to go. Minor, I don't know if he's going to be available or not. I don't know, what the status on Bartlow or Minor at this point.
I think Barlow's out for. They say that I think that hurts him. But Barlow's going to be out at least another 3 to 4 weeks
with concussion symptoms.
Yeah, they say it's still for some reason still messing with his head or something.
That's not good.
Yeah, so.
Well, hey, I'm okay with that if it means that at the end of it he's ready to play and he's not symptomatic and putting himself into danger. I'd much rather him sit out a third of the season, and then come in strong than try to play it too early, too quick. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, man. Obviously we just got done praising Tyler Pasher and the quality he's brought to the Dynamo this season, right? And I think that obviously we know a lot of the players that came in because Tab has had some experience with them prior. Players like Derek Jones, Joe Corona, things of that nature, especially like players like Fafa Pico. But I want to speak specifically on Fafa Pico because I think I mentioned it I was talking to somebody about it on Discord, and I was telling him, like, man, Fafa for some reason to me isn't doing what he needs to do. He's not living up to the billing, and I don't know how many games I'm willing to give him if that's me from my standpoint, as far as him being as my starter. Obviously, if he does well in this game versus LAFC and he scores a goal or he assists or he just shows that he's really involved with the offense, obviously that gives him more of a leash, which is great. That's one of the reasons we brought him. But when do you? I mean, as if I put you in Tab's shoes, and I think obviously I know Tab is a little bit more. I think he's a little bit more, conservative, and I think he wants to give these guys an opportunity, especially because he's worked with these guys before. But how long is too long? Because obviously one thing that they don't lack is wingers, right? They have Lassiter, they have Darwin. He's still working up his match fitness. Obviously, Georgie over here in the chat is throwing out, who do you put in Bahamich as a question mark? I don't know if he's being sarcastic or if he's being
sarcastic. He's completely sarcastic.
Yeah, I know. Man, I can't wait till Bahamich shuts him up, man. It's gonna be good. I'm gonna be right there in his face. But anyways. But like I said, how long do you give Fafa if his performance is still lackluster? Because I mean, Moxie, he's played great. He scored first goal. In the first game, he plays up front. He holds the ball as a number 9. I'm not as big of a fan as Moxie prior. Obviously, I don't think he's that dominating number 9 that we need, that can score, that can take the game over. I don't think that's his style of play. But for the first 2 games, he's done really well. Obviously, Pasha has done really well. Derek Jones is the minutes he's gotten, he's done well. Corona has done okay. But Fafa, to me, honestly, has been below average. Um,
Let me
and
let me ask you this, because I think this better frames it for me, what you're really asking about. What do you expect from Fafa in that winger position specifically?
well, first and foremost, I mean, if this is just me being a general soccer fan, right? If you're gonna decide to choose and pick that number 10 shirt to wear, that number 10 weighs a lot. Heavy lies the crown or whatever. That number 10 speaks a lot. So if you're gonna pick that number, and you better perform like a number 10. But I mean, obviously, our prior number 10 didn't perform as a number 10. That's why he's no longer here. You know, um, Fafa as a winger, I mean, he has the speed. He has the speed. We all know that. But I mean, I don't need him just to go out there and run. I need somebody a little bit more tactical. The speed is great. This, it's the same thing we have with Albert Elise. When he first came in, yeah, he can blaze and run through guys, but but sometimes it just gets a little frustrating when he can't finish and he has the goals right there. And I don't want to see this again. The speed means nothing if you can't do anything with it as far as crossing or taking defenders away from Moxie or from Tyler or whoever's up there up front with you to make it easier for them to score. When all you're doing is just running around and not doing anything with it, I don't care for the speed, to be honest. As a winger, I mean, especially with all the hype of him being, he's worked with Tab, he understands the system. He wants over here and come and do great. He wants to be one of the leaders of the squad. Great. But I need you to show it on the pitch, and 2 games in, I haven't seen it, honestly. And guys, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I mean, I'm willing to, debate about it, and see the reasoning why you think Fafa should be given another chance. But to be honest, if this LAFC game he doesn't do well, if I see him in game 4 in the starting 11, then that just tells me that it's just Tab, going with his guys, which is not something that I want to see. I want to see. I want to see Tab change it up and be like, you know what, Fafa? Yeah, you're one of my guys, but you're not doing what I need you to do right now. I need you to sit back, and I'm going to throw in Lassiter or Darwin or shit, Mateo if he's the only one available.
Excuse me. So I'm pulling this from a what I consider to be an unbiased source. And the reason I'm pulling this is I actually completely disagree with you. I think that Fafa has been fine. I'm not looking for a world beater at 30 years old on the wing. I'm just not. And the proof of this is the fact that among our players, Fafa Pico has the 4th highest player rating from WhoScored.com across our 2 matches. That comes from a couple of different specific categories, and I'm going to point to some reasons why you're right and some reasons why you're wrong. The number one thing, and keep this in mind, this is a player that plays in a position that typically does not do this. He has won the most aerial duels for our team out of the entire team. That includes our center backs at 3.5. The next closest is Tim Parker at 2.5. That's aerials won total, not per game. His shots per game is 1.5, which is ranked up there, tied for 4th technically. And across his minutes, he's had he's had opportunities. Look, he's not played as well as Joe Corona. He's not played as well as Urruti. He's not played as well as Pasher. And we can look at Pasher. Pasher is 27 according to WhoScored. I just saw that. We can talk about Tyler Pasher and how great he's been. And I think that actually hurts Fafa's case because you have a player that's coming in that hasn't played in MLS and has made Fafa look expendable. The thing is, one of the primary reasons that Pasher has had those opportunities is you look at the number of times that Tyler gets that ball out wide and he's got 1 defender to beat. When Pico typically gets that ball out wide, he has 2 defenders coming at him immediately. usually the outside back in either the defensive mid or the center back. Usually what most teams are doing is they know that the Dynamo want to get Fafa Pico involved, and so they're bringing that outside back to cover him and press against him. And then the other thing that they're doing is they have that defensive mid shadowed to his side intentionally. What's going to start happening about 3 or 4 matches, and we'll probably see it after this LA. I don't think we'll see it against LAFC, but probably against Frisco. You're going to start to see teams starting to play Pasher more and leaving Fafa with more opportunity out wide. What's going to happen is when that happens, that's going to also allow Urruti to push more towards Pasher's side, which is going to create those overload opportunities and also going to give opportunities for players like Memo, Darwin Quintero, Vera, and Corona to run into the box from that midfield position. And Fafa won't have to make crosses. He'll be able to make shorter passes into the box.
So go ahead.
I was just going to say to kind of back up your point, though, the biggest weakness that I see right now from Fafa is his passing percentage. His passing accuracy has been extremely poor. He barely has above a 50% passing accuracy. And when we're talking about MLS, we're talking about a winger. You really want them to have at least 60 to 65% passing accuracy. One thing I will note, and I want to state this, I would love to see Lassiter and Fafa rotating more, giving more minutes to Lassiter in exchange for Fafa, and also at the same time giving Fafa some rest so that he can be fresh every once in a while. I'm not advocating for one player to be the consistent starter over the other. I think rotating there is actually a really smart thing to do. Go ahead.
And the reason I asked is because obviously he's playing the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason I asked is because last season the outcome the distribution and the amount of attack that we're getting from that spot last year, being Darwin or Memo, because those are the 2 players that were rotating during the left last season, right? The number of goals and assists that we got from that spot last season, obviously Fafa has to do somewhere close to that. I understand the fact that if Darwin were probably in shape and he came in shape, he'd probably be starting over Fafa. Not because of the fact that that he has the experience, the year under the belt with Tab, and obviously him being our MVP, last season with the 7 goals and 11, 12 assists that he had. But obviously with that not being the case, I'm ready to. Like I said, if he doesn't show up for this LAFC game, I'm ready to throw Memo up in the left and bring Seren to play in the midfield. Take Seren's number. Take Memo's spot in the midfield. Move him up to winger and bring in Seren until you get Darwin back. Until Darwin gets back in match fit. Because like I said, if we're really about that life about, hey, we're trying to turn into a winning culture, and like I said, I'm not trying to be too hard on Fafa. I know we're only 2 games in.
You are.
I know we're only being,
you may not be trying to be, but you absolutely are.
Yeah, but I mean, it's because it's one of those things because like the amount of the amount of production that we were getting from that left winger spot last season, we're not getting nothing. Like you just mentioned, his passing is poor, man. You got to be, for a winger, you have to be able to get those crosses in. That's why.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna throw this out there. You say, oh, that Quintero needs to start there. I'm gonna argue that point, and I'm gonna just use statistics to back it up. So as bad as again, I said Fafa was right around 50% pass accuracy. Do you want to know what Quintero's pass accuracy was in the last match in the like 12 minutes that he played?
Oh no, I'm sure it sucks. I mean, trust me, I saw the game. He wasn't really doing anything at all. I can tell
that man does not want to play for the Houston Dynamo anymore.
Look, I can tell. But what I'm saying is because you asked me what am I expecting as far as production from Fafa this season. I'm expecting if we're really going to turn this around, and make this a winning team, winning culture. I need him to get at least the same production that we got from last season at that position.
So.
And it might not be from him. Like I said, he just might be the guy right now because he's the fittest, and and Tab has trust in him. because it could end up being Lassiter, or it can end up being Pasher being moved over to that side and, somebody being moved over to the right. But what I'm saying is I need at least somewhere similar to the same amount of production on that left side, what I had from last season.
I hear you, and I understand it. I think that, Fafa's preferred side is definitely not the left side. He can play the left side. That's not really his preferred side necessarily. I think you see that a lot more when Tyler and Fafa switch sides, and Fafa gets to play on the right side. You see Fafa with the ball more, and you see more pushing forward. It doesn't happen a lot. He doesn't get nearly as many minutes on that right side as Pasher does. But when it happens, it usually leads to some opportunities. There have been some incredible interchanges in passing sequences, including Fafa Pico, that happened because of Fafa Pico's connection with Urruti. And remember, they played together in Frisco for a year before Urruti went up to Montreal. And so there's a connection there. And I think, 2 matches in, they're still feeling out for some of the other players, not necessarily themselves. But what I want to see on the left wing, I think Fafa's fine there. But what I want to see is Fafa being willing to pass that ball to somebody else to give himself the opportunity to get the ball away from a defender. If Fafa can have some of the same space that Tyler Pasher is being given, and a lot of it I think is disrespect from defenders, honestly. They don't think that Pasher is going to beat them. They don't believe that Pasher, this kid from USL, is going to beat them on the dribble, so they believe they can mark him one-on-one. And Pasher is just good enough to be able to find a way to get around him, usually passing around them to himself, which is absurd at MLS level. And that being said, but like I said, Fafa has a speed, so he should be able to do at least something on par as far as what Pasher does. Remember what I just said a few minutes ago. Tactically speaking, what teams are doing is they're targeting Fafa specifically. They are doubling on Fafa and singling on Pasher. That means Pasher has fewer defenders to beat. Of course, Pasher is going to look like the better player. If you have an opportunity to put 2 players on a single player that can beat you versus a player that you maybe he can, maybe he can't, you're absolutely going to do the player that can beat you.
No, and I understand that completely, but I think that's where Fafa needs to understand that. Okay, look, if these defenders are going to come at me at a certain point, then I need to make my decision sooner rather than later.
Agreed.
And not be stuck.
Agreed with that. But what you're missing is that Fafa, when given those opportunities one-on-one, he has actually performed. He has created opportunities. Now, that's not to say that those balls have ended up in the back of the net. They're not always going to do that. Pasher only has 1 assist on the season and then a wonderful cross in the box. But again, Pasher's on a different level right now. His form is stratospheric right now. And I think it's unfair to compare Tyler Pasher's trajectory right now to Fafa's. But with that being said, your next best option is to take Memo out of a position that he wants to play in a position that he is excelling in, and put him back out wide where he absolutely struggled for more than 50% of the season last year. You want to bring back Darwin Quintero, whose heart is not in this team, who doesn't want to play for this team.
No, not Quintero. Not Quintero.
So, you did say Quintero earlier, but you also said Lassiter. Lassiter, I think, is the one player on the bench right now that, if given the opportunity, could excel, especially having Pasher on the other side. The drawback with Lassiter is that his accuracy right now is terrible. How about that sitter that he had in Portland? Absolute no reason, somehow missed it. I said sitter. Sorry, I said sitter, but he tried to have a shot when he could have just passed it back to somebody else. When he was on the, he was at the goal line. He was trying to find a shot and find an angle. That's one of those few situations where you absolutely should not be trying to shoot the ball. And he didn't come anywhere close. That ball was 20 yards away.
And I understand. And look, and to be honest, the reason I think Lassiter's probably not starting is because he's a little behind because he had to leave to play with the Costa Rican national team, during preseason. So I'm guessing that he's trying to catch up back and to match fitness and get in tune with the team or whatever. But let's not kid ourselves either. I mean, we paid compared to Dynamo standards, we paid a nice little penny for Lassiter service as well to make it permanent here. So I mean, if you're gonna do that, you got to utilize that guy, and that guy obviously has dominated in the Costa Rican league, which is not a crappy league by any means. You know, I mean, they have some powerhouse teams there. You know, they made it to a final. There, him being the leading goal scorer for his team, making it to that final that season that he was with them. So I mean, he has a skill level. It's just that he, you know, like any player, you just need to give him time and need to give him constant minutes. You know, and he hasn't had that. You know, well, up to right now, he's just been had a couple of subs. But Georgia says they have Alex Lopez. That's why, but they didn't have him that season when they went to the final. But yeah, man. I mean, look, like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm just like crapping all over Fafa. I'm not. I want Fafa to do great. I want Fafa to be great here in the Dynamo, because if he's great, that means that we're great. You know, I just need to see more. You know, and I'm hoping that he shows out in LAFC against LAFC. You know, I'm hoping that he shows not only that he has the speed and pace, but that he has the tactics and the passing skills to do what he needs to do, and he has the mindset to understand that if teams are focusing on him, then to make his decisions sooner rather than later, you know, instead of fighting against 2 or 3 defenders, to be able to pass the ball on, you know, so those defenders get off of him and go to the next player, and then be able to go back, you know, and get that ball back, you know, sooner or whatever, you know, be a decoy. Sometimes you know you have a front three. You know, think of the greatest front three of the last 10 years, the Messi, Neymar, and Suarez, you know, front three from Barcelona, right? One of those guys had to always be the decoy in those games, you know? And you're talking about 3 world-class players. You know, I'm not asking, you know, Fafa to be, you know, a 20 goal scorer per season or 10 assists and nothing like that. But I do need him to show me something. I do need him to show me that while he's in the game, that he's not being taken out of the game.
Fair enough. I come back to the point of, who do you have on the bench that's going to take that spot? Right now, you have nobody. You just don't. Lassiter is as close as you come, and like you said, he's not ready. That's not to say he can't be after the LAFC match. For all I know, he might even start the LAFC match. We'll see. But at the same time, I trust Tab when it comes to that. Tab sees what's going on in practice. And I have to trust in Tab at this point. I mean, you know, again, he hit on Pasher. He knows what he's doing. I mean, what we're not seeing, maybe he sees. I don't know. We'll see. But enough about Fafa. Let's talk LAFC. They've kind of had an interesting rotation at right back. They had Latif Blessing play there one match. They had Tristan Blackman play there. That's not exactly a solidified position over there at LAFC. And that's the position that Fafa is going to be up against if he's the starter. And so who knows what might happen in this match. This is the perfect match for him to apply that pressure and to create the opportunities. So who knows? This might be his breakout party. You might see 2 assists, a goal. Who knows? We'll see.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Eduardo Artesta is coming back. So if he is, that means that moves what's his name back to the right back. Is it Colombian? The Segura?
Yeah.
Segura. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, it's still early. Obviously, you know, like I said, right now there's a lot of things up in the air. But as far as LA is seeing who's available and who's not. But yeah, I mean, like I said, especially, dude, if you're playing, if Latif Blessing is one of their midfielders, right? And if he's being played as a right back because, you know, obviously they're shorthanded right now, dude, that's the perfect time to take advantage of a player like that, especially a player that's playing out of position. It's not act like, you know, these people are not taking advantage of Boniek playing out of position as a center back, right? So that's where they're focusing on, right? And we got to be able to do the same. We got to be able to really penetrate that weakness that whatever said team comes in with. And if that is the weakness, then we need to fully focus on that and attack that and apply pressure to that side.
Yeah, so LAFC have played 2 matches. They won 2-0 against Austin. I think that's you know, that result is one to look at. That's important. It was Austin looked like they had opportunities, but they were definitely not on the front foot. And then they drew against Seattle 1-1. You know, LAFC have surrendered 1 goal in 2 matches. It's a very low amount considering who they're missing. But they've also not been prolific scorers either. So this is a good match for the defense on our side as well to, you know, stand up and be stout and not give up opportunities and not give up goals. There's going to be opportunities. There's going to be chances for us in front of goal, and we have to be accurate. We have to be decisive, as they say, in getting that ball in the back of the net. But I look at this match, and you know what? It's a good time for regular bold predictions because I think we're right there. I look at this match, and I just feel like because it's a home match, because of how the team, lost in Portland, kind of the heartbreak emotion from that, and also that they've had a little bit of rest and they're back home. I think the team come out on the front foot, and I'm dubbing this a two. I'm going to dub it a 2-1 Dynamo victory.
Doing predictions already?
Yeah, we're doing predictions. Yeah, we're doing predictions in the middle of the show. Yes.
Okay. Man, look, I want to be optimistic, man. I really do. I really do. I want to be positive about this season, because like I said, there's a lot of things that I feel that, obviously Tab brought in players that he wants. We're getting LAFC at a time that obviously they're not fully fit at all. And they're missing, a handful of players that are really important to their squad. So I feel like they should take full advantage of the situation and really put the hammer down, man. A 2-1 score seems like a loss to me, even if they do win. I feel like they should dominate this game, especially because they have all their starters. And that's the only weakness we have is a center back right now. But even with that, if they don't have Rossi or Vela, I mean, it's not really that much of a weakness. You're kind of on par now. So, man, I'm gonna go a little bit more optimistic than 2-1 score. I'm gonna go 4-2 score.
Oh boy, that's a lot of goals, fans.
Yeah, dude,
that match.
Look, it's predicted to be a beautiful day, 2:30 in the afternoon. You're expected to have I think they're going what they went up to 50% capacity for the stadium.
Yeah,
and it's reported that it's gonna be sold out to the 50%. I mean, dude, this is the time to show out. This is the time where the Dynamo should be planning to attack the ball and take advantage of the fact that the LAFC are not coming here 100% and really just put their foot down to the next press.
So Nestor says 1-1, the only non-Dynamo victory so far predicted. George has 3-1 Dynamo. Yeah, he said 1-1.
Come on, Nestor. We need to be more positive.
Muy positivo. Yeah, so keep the predictions coming. All right, bold prediction time. Mark, what you got?
Bold prediction time. Man, what was my prediction last week? Man, I
don't remember.
Because I guess it didn't even hit. Because if it would have hit, then I would have remembered. Let's see. I mean, look, the way I was talking about 5-5. Look, my bold prediction would be a 5-5 hat trick.
Oh wow!
So let's.
You put them on blast. I got you. You put them on blast. Use that little reverse psychology going on. I got you.
I'll put them on blast. And now my bold prediction is going to be a 5-5 hat trick. So
he's gonna bust out. I see it.
So we need something like that.
We got Nestor with LAFC scores on a penalty. George with Patrick gets a goal in the first 10 minutes. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to go completely in a different direction. Corona has a hat trick and assists. 3 goals for the Dynamo. A couple of
a hat trick of assists or a hat trick?
A hat trick of assists. Yes, not goals. A hat trick of assists. Okay. But still, it's still pretty damn amazing.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's my bold prediction for the week. I don't feel it. I'm just saying if anything's gonna happen, it's gonna be something crazy like that. So we'll see.
Well, look, look, this is what I'm talking about. Like, when we need to get off the fact that that we need this to happen for the team to win. We need to stop being like that, and we need to actually put a stamp, on the fact that we're out here. This is our turf. This is our home, and we need to defend that. And like I said, Saturday is going to be a beautiful afternoon, 2:30 game. Like I said, they're expecting for the full capacity of 50% to be there. And why not show out to these people? Why not show out to these people who are willing to go out there and watch you play? So I don't see why this wouldn't be a great time for the Dynamo to go out there and score 4 goals, like I said, and for Fafa to show out and score that hat trick.
Absolutely. Now, switching gears real quick, let's talk a little MLS fantasy. You doing okay over there, Mark, in fantasy? Need some advice and pointers because I can help.
I mean, my fantasy in MLS is for Messi to come play for the Dynamo. Wrong fantasy. Sorry,
it's clearly not for you to score actual points in the league. That's for sure.
But, hey, you know what? Look, man.
You beat me last week. I won't lie. You beat me last week by 4 points when I had 3 players that didn't even play. 3 players that didn't play, and you barely beat me by 4 points.
Look, I guess for the weekly standings, because I guess that's what matter. I mean, obviously at the end of the day, all the points that they get tallied up. I mean, I think I'm in 5th place or whatever.
Yeah, you are. You're in 6th. You're in 6th. Sorry, you're not in 5th place. You're in 6th.
Okay. So
not even top 5, man.
And 2 of my best players have not been playing, and for some reason I have no idea. And they're top, and they are heavily paid players. I've missed Alejandro Pozuelo for the last 2 games, which for whatever reason I don't. Why is he not playing?
And you keep playing him. Like at some point, you just got to be like, all right, maybe he's not going to play next week, so I'll play somebody else. 4 points is better than no points, my dude.
Exactly, and he's costing me $10 million, and then on top of that, Diego Rossi's not playing, which is a $9 million player. Man, dude, I can be. I'm still holding my own. Thankfully for Chicharito, who came out here and is torching MLS right now. But aside from that, dude, Diego Rossi, Alejandro Pozuelo have let me down. But if I were just change it to somebody who at least playing, I would be higher than 6. I'm just saying. This is my first time ever playing.
You might eventually creep up and match my 3rd place right now in the league. I am as good as bad as I've been, which I haven't been very good. 107 points. I'm behind Diesel's Diamond Dogs by about 14 points, which is easily something you can make up in a couple of weeks, no problem.
Yeah.
I am going to tell you right now that I have changed tactics going into this week.
Dude,
I had to.
Dude, I said this. I've already committed to this because, first of all, I didn't know there was an app for this because I was on the website, trying to do the website thing, because like I said, it's my first time ever playing.
Sure.
MLS fantasy. So I don't know all the gist. I still haven't even figured out how to change the damn formation. So I'm still playing a 4-4-2. and on top of that, so I finally found out there's an app. So I got the app. So now I'm ready to look. I can check whenever the teams are about to play, see the lineup. If they're not playing, take off those players not playing and replace them with somebody of equal quality or whatever, depending on what players are available at that time. But yeah, man, like I'm done having these players not play for me and not make no points for me, especially when they're 2 of my top high earners on my team.
So something to keep in mind, Mark, to give you a pointer here that I guess you haven't figured out yet, is if you have at 1 hour before the first match of the week, according to MLS Fantasy, whatever that first match of the week is, MLS match, if you do, you have to have your 15 players selected.
Yeah.
After that point, if you have a player that is not going to play in their match, you cannot take them out for a player from the pool. You can only substitute them with a substitute off your bench.
Yeah.
However, here's the caveat, and here's what you need to be playing and leveraging. As long as you have that player, and if they don't play, you will automatically substitute a player from your bench into that position. You don't even have to worry about it. It'll automatically do it, and it will use the best score from your bench. What that means, Mark, is you could have 2 players on your bench that you're not sure who's going to have the better match this week, but you know that one of them is probably going to have a good match. So I've got 2 players on my bench because I'm not sure which of these 2 are going to have a good week. I've got Lucien Acosta and I've got Cavallini from Vancouver. Midfielder and a forward. I've got a defender that I know for a fact is not going to play. It's Minnesota versus Austin. It's Chad Montgomery, something like that from Minnesota. He ain't playing this week. He's a defender that is he ain't playing. Let's put it that way. So the rest of my lineup, I feel pretty good that they're going to play this week. So what's up, Parts Unknown? How's it going? No, it's all good. You can always be late here. We don't mind. A lot of times we're late. So, hey, turnabout's fair play. But I'm just giving you this pointer, Mark, that it's okay to not have all your starting lineup start as long, or even play, as long as you know that you have at least 2 players on your bench that can start when one of those players does not start. So last week I had a player that got me 8 points from my bench, 9 points from my bench, because I had a player that didn't start or didn't play.
No, yeah, and I understand that. That's why you have the bench player, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. Look. Let me tell you my midfield from last week's game, right? So I have Rodolfo Pizarro, Inter Miami. Eddie Reynoso, number 10 for Minnesota United. Leao from Nashville. And my backup is Tyler Pasher. Thank God for Tyler Pasher, because that's my bench player. So, obviously he helped me with the Alejandro Pozuelo, no points there. So, but my midfield is stacked. My midfield prior to that, to the last week's my first week's midfield was stacked. I said my captain Alejandro Pozuelo, no show both weeks. So, like I said, if he even averaged 5 points, like if he got 5 points those 2 weeks, even if he did subpar and he was sorry and just had 5 points, that's 10 points, dude. I'd be like in third or second. I think I'd be third or second, because we're just like that tight. That 3 to 5 or 3 to 7 range is like really tight. So, I mean, it's crap, but whatever. I'm gonna fix that, and I'm gonna dominate.
I'm waiting for that time you start dominating. I'm going to give you a rundown of my fantasy lineup real quick, just so that you can get a little pointer here, Mark, and figure out how to join that top 3, because I want you to be there with me. It's really important. So I switched up. I had been keeping a couple of different keepers in goal, but this week I've decided to go out on a limb, and I've got Brad Guzan starting in goal against New England. New England against England. I've got Gutierrez from Vancouver starting in defender. I've got Brolt Guillard from Philadelphia starting at defender. No, that's Montreal. Sorry, from Montreal. Of course, it's Montreal. It's a French name, of course. And then I've got Walks from Atlanta United starting, and they're playing New England because, again, I have a feeling that Atlanta can hold their own against New England, so I'm banking on that defensively for the clean sheets there. That's where the points come for defenders usually. I've got Darren Asprilla as one of my midfielders, a very cheap option at $4.9 million, by the way, worth a pickup. That he scored a goal last week. I have Mayor from Seattle, because they're facing the Galaxy, and even though the Galaxy have played well, Seattle have also played well. Even in that 1-1 game last week, he still had like 8.5, 9 points, something like that. Yeah, you could see it, right? I'm telling him who to start. He's going to do it right now. I got Randall Leal from Nashville, who has had incredible point scoring for a guy that's only $7.5 million. You should go look him up, Mark. He'll save your lineup.
He was on my team. I have him on my team.
That's good. I also have Joe Corona, because we in this league we do have to have a Dynamo starter every week. He's my only Dynamo starter. In fact, he's the only Dynamo player on my entire team this week. I've got Julio from RSL, $8 million forward, who currently is averaging 12 points per match, which is absurd for a forward that is underrated. And then I got Chicha, because you can't knock Chicha right now. Chicha's, the way he's playing, you just got to go with the hot hand. Chicha has an average of 15 points per match across these first 2 matches. And then again, my bench, the other 2 bench players don't matter. They're just $4 million players to take up space. But I got Lucien Acosta and Cavallini. Again, Montgomery as my defender that I know that I'm going to sub out sub out automatically. So either Acosta or Cavallini will take that spot depending on which one scores the most points. The other advantage to having two sub players that you are fairly certain are going to start and have good weeks is that if you have another player that for some reason doesn't start due to a very late injury, you get the advantage of not having to worry about it and just playing off your bench. So that's who I've got. It's going to be interesting to see. These first 2 weeks have been very intriguing, to say the least, of players that nobody really anticipated having really good showings, like who expected Chicharito to be on fire coming into the season. Not me. Maybe he just realizes that he finally has to show up and do something. I don't know.
He finally got off gaming for a little bit and started training.
I think the Mexican national team told him, "Look, dude, if you can't be good enough to stay a starter in LA, you definitely aren't good enough to get back on the Mexican national team ever." Yeah, that's my lineup this week, and I'm feeling pretty good, which usually scares me because when I feel good going into a week, I always end up with a miserable week. Last week, I think I had 48 points or something like that, which was pretty low. That's like bottom half, if not lower, but somehow still holding down that third position in the league.
Yeah, I ended up with 54 points last week.
52. Nice try.
Okay. 52
You beat me
points.
off. I know because you beat me by 4 points.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I ended up with 52 points, but again, I didn't have no captain score because Pozuelo was my captain, and I didn't have no Rossi. So
you say that. My captain was Brenner from Cincinnati, and the reason that happened was because I didn't switch my captain before the matches happened for the week, and I kicked myself because I was never intending to have Brenner be my captain. I was pretty sad, but this week I got it held down. Don't you worry. My captain's gonna have a good week, and I don't even think it's Chicharito. Actually, I probably need to check that. It might be Chicharito.
I'll tell you my team right now. For this is just the preliminary. Guzan, I had Brad Guzan for the first 2 games. Thankfully, CCL doesn't count because otherwise he would have been torched.
Yeah.
Tim Parker is my Dynamo, my only starting Dynamo player. I have Walker Zimmerman, Rosenberry from Colorado Rapids, and Fontes from Sporting KC, with Sam Junkwa being my backup because
Junkwa ain't playing. He ain't ready to come back.
I just need a cheap option.
Yeah, for sure.
Midfield, Nani, Eddie Reynoso still. I mean, I think I'm good with him going against Austin. Rodolfo Pisuelo and Roman Leao from Nashville, with Tyler Pasher being my sub. My forwards, Chicharito because Chicharito, and Gonzalo Higuain. And then my backup is Chris Harris from Cincinnati, who actually has been doing. You know what? Shout out Harris from Cincinnati, man. This guy, the last, I haven't got no points from my forwards either aside from Chicharito, obviously, right? And obviously he's scored enough to make up for the lost points that I didn't give with Rossi. But obviously I got points with Harris because Rossi didn't play. So shout out to that guy.
Yeah, it's going to be a good week. It's going to be a fun week. We'll just have to see how things shakes out. We'll report back next week with the updated line or updated positional standings in the league, and we'll report back as to how badly I beat Mark this week. Total points. With that being said, guys, we got about 15 minutes left, and I timed this intentionally. There's only one subject left to talk about. We could talk about the Dash having to bow out of the Challenge Cup because NWSL is stupid and has stupid rules related to the Challenge Cup. Hey, look at that. None of our U.S. women's national team and international players are going to be in the league. So let's go ahead and have a tournament that people actually care about play at the same time. Why would you do that? That's stupid. That's dumb.
One thing before we get away from that, shout out to the ladies on that win. They look great. Mewis, obviously Daly with the penalty, they look awesome. Obviously, we see the difference in change when the stars come back, but still, shout out to the ladies getting there for that first win. And like I said, a thumbs down to NWSL because there's no reason why this shouldn't have been a semifinal. Where the top 2 teams from each group go into a semifinal knockout stage, which is completely stupid to just go with the straight final with the top 2 teams from each group, because obviously you can see the Dash is better than the leader and the other group. So, I think are
for sure.
Which I don't remember who the other group leader is, but yeah, stupid. NWSL, fix that for next season, please.
Absolutely, and to Jake's point, the win against KC was amazing. The international players being back, the U.S. women's national team players being back, there was no doubt who the better team was in KC, and it was your Dash, it was our Dash, it was my Dash, it was.
But I'm looking forward to the regular season. I think Dash are gonna make some noise, man. And hey, I wouldn't be surprised if instead of lifting the Challenge Cup, we're lifting the NWSL Championship.
Yes, sir. I keep saying it. I'm gonna speak it into existence at this point, but. I sincerely believe that this is the year for the Dash. They have the right team. They have the right players, the right leaders. The only thing I'm worried about is the Olympics, and frankly, I feel like they can get through that, and they're going to have a good enough season before that point that, really that'll just be them coasting through.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, yes, sir. Let's go.
All right, yes, sir. All right, so now we're going to talk the real stuff. We're going to get real for a minute. So earlier this week, Brian McTaggart, again, he's a guy that covers MLB. He's a contributor for MLB.com. he decided to stick his foot in his absolute mouth. The Dash were awarded an award, were selected for an award for best Houston franchise moment, Houston sports team moment of 2020. Why this is important is this was the first, and for those that are listening, you already know this, but this was the first championship that the Dash had won. It was the first time that they had competed in a tournament. It was the first time they went deep into anything, and they did it in a way that was impressive, and it was very unifying, and it was very, it was very good to see. It was very positive coming out of that, and they did it by uniting as a team. And there have been plenty of posts about that and talking about that. So Brian McTaggart decides when this award came out and they announced it on Twitter that he was gonna retweet it or quote tweet it, and he was gonna just quote tweet it with a picture of the U of H of a U of H player slam dunking a basketball into the net. When confronted about this by, of course, Dash fans, NWSL fans, etc., that were like, that wasn't even in 2020. That was in 2021. McTaggart doubled down and basically went as far as to say the NWSL doesn't even matter. The Final Four is a bigger viewership overall. It's more impressive. Completely ignoring the fact that, again, this happened in 2021, not in 2020. And just continued to just demean the play, the quality, the work, the effort of not just the Houston Dash, but the NWSL and women's soccer players across the world by basically bashing the women's, the game of women's soccer. I thought that was pretty funny in and of itself because I'm like, I knew there was no doubt this guy was about to get trashed. But it became this absolute feast for NWSL fans. Brian McTaggart, in his infinite wisdom, did more to improve the viewership and improve the story that the NWSL is trying to spread, gave more notoriety and more publicity to the NWSL and women's soccer than the NWSL could have done on their own. By simply bashing the league and saying that it's not a good enough league or it's not a world-class league, which is stupid in and of itself, he basically, he created a positive atmosphere ultimately where NWSL fans and women's soccer fans had an opportunity to step in and say, you're dumb, you're being misogynistic, you're being stupid. And frankly, I liked Laura's takedown of him on their podcast. Again, Laura and Theo's podcast. Laura said basically to the effect of, does this guy even have daughters? Does he have a wife? Because that's what this is all about, and he clearly doesn't, because if he did, he would understand the importance of a league like this. And to me, that's the mic drop moment, like that was just the absolute slaughter of anything that McTaggart had to step on or to stand on as far as what he was trying to say. Parts Unknown does say that McTaggart also disrespected all of women's sports, NWSL, WNBA, women's hockey, etc. Look, the guy clearly has no respect for women's sports, and you can extrapolate that fairly easily to say the guy has no respect for women in general. Mark, it seems like you got something you want to say, so I'm gonna let you talk for just a second too.
Yeah, I mean, this obviously got dragged out, and good for everybody who called him out. Obviously, we all know him, with his ties to the Astros, and he covers the Astros in Major League Baseball and all that good stuff. Whatever, But props to everybody for dragging him out. This all could have been avoided from his end if he would have just, put his foot in his mouth and understood what he said was wrong. Look, no disrespect. Look, me alongside everybody here, probably, I know Nesta for sure. We all enjoyed the U of H Final Four run.
Oh, hell yeah.
We all enjoyed it. But this is the 2020 Houston Sports Award show for achievements in 2020. That happened in 2021, man. It's simple as that. Simple mistake. Hey, look, man, a lot of us have typed things, said things, without knowing the whole full facts, and then realizing, crap, I missed out on something, right? So obviously him thinking like, look, yeah, the Dash is great. They won a championship, but what the U of H men did, to bring back basketball to U of H, because we used to be one of the top teams back in the 80s. Yeah, it's all great. But without him knowing that, with him obviously forgetting the caveat of that doesn't qualify for this award, you know, and regardless of the fact, even if it did, you know, what the Dash did, you know, during that 2020 Challenge Cup tournament, just was amazing. It had suspense, it had tough games, it had grit. It basically blossomed all these women to the forefront of Houston sports realistically, because I mean you saw the support they got in their drive-through parade. You know, it just brought a whole bunch of different types of eyes to the Dash players. We obviously saw that in their first game, where you know they had about almost 5,000 fans in BVVA, you know, and it's to just demeanor it and to kind of like just to prove a point from his standpoint to, you know, kind of degrade women's sports and you know, and yeah, it's great that the Dash did this, but you know, but that's nothing compared to what the U of A, man, dude, regardless of whatever or how you think about it or how you rank each sport, what the Dash did was fantastic for the city of Houston, you know, during the time that, you know, obviously everybody was going through COVID. We're in the midst of COVID. To be the first sport to come back and play professionally under those circumstances, and for that team to achieve what they achieved and the way they achieved it, you know, it's truly amazing for those girls. And they wholeheartedly deserve that award that was given out to them by the Houston Sports Awards. And I applaud them for giving them that award, you know, because like I said, a lot of things happened last year. You know, they could have easily gone with, you know, the Astros, you know, to a postseason run or whatever, you know, I mean, whatever. But, you know, the fact that they actually dug deep and they came out with the Dash, you know, and decided to put the Dash forefront, that's great. And then on top of that, like you said, I'm one of those that, you know what, what's that saying that I'm losing my thought here. But all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, and let's be honest. You know, McTaggart obviously has a huge following because of his MLB ties and, you know, Astros and all that stuff. So the fact that, you know, that we even had him talking about the Dash and NWSL, you know, brought more eyes to these girls and these ladies, which that in itself I'm happy for. If I'm looking for a bright side out of this whole fiasco, is that more eyes have been given to the Dash, Houston Dash, and those ladies, because they deserve it. Like I said, this team, what they've done, what they showcased, they deserve every bit of caveats and every trophy or whatever the award that's given their way, because they did everything the right way under difficult circumstances, which on top of everything else, just, you know, propels them to the forefront. And I don't care about, you know, hey, you know, it's just a women's league, whatever, dude. It's sport. It's sport. They're the champions, you know, and they deserve recognition that they got it.
You know, yeah, NWSL was the first professional sports league to resume play, and to do it, you know, in the bubble format, and to Jake's point, with 0 COVID-19 cases coming out of that bubble, was incredibly impressive. And you know, for the Dash to go up to Utah, to spend basically a full month in Utah playing matches, and to walk away, come back with a trophy. You know, it is something to be exceptionally proud of. And, you know, building on that, it wasn't just about that. And it wasn't just that they were the first ones to do it. It was the first time this tournament had ever been held under extreme circumstances. These ladies went out and did it. And they did it by uniting as a team, by following this mantra of this circle didn't break. And look, I don't care who you are. I don't care what walk of life you come from. You need to be uplifting of women's sports and of women in positions like that, where they have an opportunity to make change happen in a very positive way. Look, it is disrespectful, the amount of demeaning that McTaggart did, intentionally or otherwise, to the NWSL, to women's sports, and to the Dash. And it was incredible to me to see the support come from not only fans, but we had players from the Houston Dynamo and Zarek Valentine step up to the plate on Twitter and defend why the Dash deserved that award. I saw incredible amounts of people just from all walks of life coming to basically stand up and say, "You're an idiot, McTaggart. These ladies deserve this award. This team deserves this award. They earned it." Look, U of H, for all that they did in 2021, they had a great season. They didn't win it all. They didn't walk away with the championship. And some can say they've faced greater challenges along the way. I disagree completely, but that is neither here nor there. Zarek was Zarek was on another level, bro. If you haven't seen those tweets, I recommend you go find Zarek's account. We've tweeted and retweeted it before, but incredible stuff from Zarek. I mean, the fact is, if and when I have a daughter, or if and when I have a wife, which hopefully happens at some point in my future, if and when, I have women in my life, I want them to know that I will support whatever they do. And it does not matter if it's that they decide that, they want to go be astronauts, or they want to go, be the leader of the free world and become president of the United States, or, whatever it is that they want to do, I'm going to support them.
Hey,
and
Sean,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Columbus Crew scored 1-1, tied 65th minute.
Colorado also scored apparently, or was that George?
George said Colorado. I don't know what match he's
he might be talking Columbus. He might have just fat fingered, or just
it's Columbus.
As he was celebrating so hard that he dropped his beer and he mistyped. Sean for The Bachelor. I'm not so sure about that. I am an eligible bachelor. Do not get me wrong, but I would not do well in The Bachelor.
Slide in the DMs, ladies. Slide in the DMs.
Hey, at Gen Orange Radio. That's right, at Gen Orange Radio. Hook it up on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I am available. I'm just throwing that out there. If there's any ladies, no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, though, I am available. Anyways, I digress.
But yeah, Sean, I'm sorry to derail you like that, man. But yeah, it's
good.
It's and like I said, I applaud Zarek. He's been at the forefront for women's sports, especially women's soccer, ever since he's gotten here. And I'm sure prior to that as well. So applause to him. And just everybody who came at the defense of the Dash. Like I said, this is just one thing where, like, dude, you made a mistake. You wanted to compare two sports and two achievements, which is great, which is okay, but like, there is no reason for you to keep going on and bashing the women's sports, and bashing the Dash, or belittling their championship like it's nothing. Dude, it's a competition, it's a tournament, regardless of who you're competing with. You're competing against people of equal talent, equal qualities, as far as that sport goes, and to come out as a champion and said sport, that's a high achievement, regardless of what kind of sport it is. But yeah, man, if anything, I'm glad that it brought more eyes to the Dash and brought more, of a support towards the Dash. And I won't be surprised if the next Dash match is a more packed crowd.
I don't think there's any doubt now that the U.S. Women's National Team players and the international players are back. It's a different ball game, folks. It is absolutely a different ball game. With that being said, though, it is time to call it a night. As fun as it has been. We both have lives and jobs and everything else to get back to. I've got things I got to go do as well. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, if you could do us a favor and like and subscribe to the channel, the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Generation Orange. Do us a favor and like us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Don't like it. Well, like us too, but follow us on Twitter at Gen Orange Radio. Marcus at Chase Segovia. Make sure you guys check out La Banca Podcast on YouTube and on Twitter. I think you guys have a Twitter, right?
Yes. Oh, well, no,
Twitter.
not yet.
Oh, no, not yet. But they're working on it.
Yeah.
Working on it. It's coming. Maybe.
Hey, guys, and before we go, see you all Saturday for all those who are going to be there against LAFC.
I will not be one of those there, but that's okay. I'll be eating barbecue in y'all's stead. It's all good. And then also follow me on Twitter at Sean Ringrose. You didn't give me a chance to even get mine out there,
sorry,
bro.
man.
That's
Sorry.
rude. That's rude. But no, seriously, thank you guys. Yeah, that's right. Hit up them DMs. Slide in them DMs. But seriously, though, guys, also, if you can do us a favor, we do have the audio version of the show posted up until last week's show, and hopefully we'll have this one posted sometime before the weekend. Hit us up, anchor.fm/GenOrange. Hey, guys, we'll see you next week. Hold it down.